Imagine the deafening roar of the Colosseum fading into a dull thunder as the crowds disperse. Beneath the shadow of the towering stands, a young man named Titus struggles to free himself from the grasp of an Iron Maiden, his muscles aching from the struggle. What happened next for Titus and other gladiators after the games? Gladiators, the iconic warriors of the Roman Empire, are often celebrated for their skill, bravery, and the drama of their fights. However, their lives, both before and after the games, are shrouded in misconceptions and intrigue. Behind the facade of the ferocious fighters lies a story of hardship, resilience, and a constant struggle for survival. The training of a gladiator was no less intense than the battles they fought. Many gladiators were slaves or prisoners of war, and their training was brutal and unforgiving. Under the watchful eyes of their masters, they endured harsh regimes that pushed them to the brink of exhaustion. Spears and swords were their companions, and the art of combat became their life. As they honed their skills, the gladiators lived in barracks alongside fellow fighters, forming bonds of camaraderie that often extended beyond the training grounds. This period of preparation was not only about mastering combat techniques, but also about cultivating a persona, an image that would captivate the Roman crowds. Some gladiators were adorned with elaborate costumes and masks, transforming them into mythical beasts or terrifying Others were painted in vivid colors, turning their bodies into living canvases of war and courage. For Titus, each game was a test of skill, endurance, and strategy. He had studied his opponents, anticipating their moves, and formulating his own tactics. Yet, there were always uncertainties. The unpredictable nature of combat, the rustle of the crowd, and the ever-present danger of injury or death. When the gate to the arena swung open, Titus stepped into a world of noise, excitement, and anticipation. The roar of the crowd was deafening, their cheers and jeers echoing through the ancient structure. As he entered the sand, the magnitude of the spectacle hit him. The Colosseum, with its tiers of spectators, seemed to tower over him, its shadow enveloping the arena floor. Sunlight glistened off the polished armor, turning it into a mirror reflecting the determined gaze of the warrior. Now, imagine the final moments of a gladiator fight. The dust settles, the roars of the crowd fade, and Titus, bruised and weary, stands amidst the echoes of the battle. His fight is over, but the cheers still ring in his ears. What happens next is a testament to the stark contrast between the glory of the Colosseum and the harsh realities of life as a gladiator. He may have won the admiration of the crowd, but his fate now hangs in the balance, dependent on the whims of the audience. In the brutal world of ancient Rome, a gladiator's life was precarious. Whether he returned home to a life of servitude or was granted freedom depended on the fickle fancies of the spectators. Despite the adulation of the crowd, their fates were often sealed by the whims of the Roman public. It was a world where the line between triumph and tragedy was razor thin. For some gladiators, like Titus, their fighting days were numbered. Injuries sustained in the arena could be forcing them back into the obscurity from which they had fought so valiantly. Others might have caught the eye of a wealthy patron, and their lives took an unexpected turn towards relative comfort. Still, most gladiators didn't have the luxury of a comfortable retirement. They were expendable commodities in an empire that reveled in spectacle. And when their usefulness in the arena had waned, they were often left to fend for themselves. The transition from the cheers of the Colosseum to the harsh realities of daily life was jarring. The injuries they sustained were not merely flesh wounds, but often led to lifelong disabilities. The training and fighting had taken a toll, and many gladiators found themselves struggling to adapt to a world that no longer celebrated their prowess. It was a stark reminder of the impermanence of fame in a society that demanded constant spectacle. Despite the hardships, there were rare instances of triumph. Some gladiators were granted their freedom, a privilege that came with the recognition of their skill and bravery. They might have fought as equals against other gladiators, or even been given opportunities to manage their own gladiatorial schools. For these men, the roar of the crowd became a distant memory, replaced by the quiet dignity of earned liberty. In the grand narrative of the Roman Empire, the gladiators often fade into the shadows, remembered only for their daring feats in the arena. But their lives, both before and after the games, were as complex and challenging as the battles they fought. It is a story of human resilience in the face of adversity. A testament to the strength and determination of those who fought not just for glory, but for survival.